Okay, so it's that time. So let's begin our webinar. And Leanne and I are really excited to share this topic with you because having a business that can run without you is really the ideal goal as a business owner. So we're going to get into a little bit more of that topic, and we have some exciting and valuable information to share with you on this theme: how to grow your business successfully so it can run without you. So we have some additional information on our next slide we'd like to just remind you about. If you haven't joined us before or used the Zoom software before, you'll notice that there's a Q&A panel on your screen. So if you'd like to post any of the questions as we're going through the webinar, please feel free to do so. We have Sandra, one of our team, who will be monitoring the Q&A panel. And then periodically throughout our webinar, we'll have an opportunity to respond to your questions. So please keep them coming. That's one of the reasons Leanne and I are here and presenting this webinar together. And then you'll notice there's also a chat box. So if you have other comments that you'd like to simply share with the group, if you can set the chat box to all attendees and panelists, when you make your comments, then all of us will benefit from the thoughts that you share. So those are a few helpful tips. And we look forward to getting underway now. Welcome, Tom, from London. So welcome. So Leanne and I, as you may know, if you've attended our other webinars, we're today's presentation team. I'm in public practice in my accounting firm. Leanne is a cloud accounting specialist in her firm. And we're here again to share our webinar for this month together. So some brief thoughts about my background. I'm a CPA, chartered professional accountant, and I've had the interesting experience of helping business owners in a variety of industries and stages of their business growth, help them, coach them, give them personal mentoring and advice so that they can grow a successful business. And so our mission statement, you can see what we're really focused on. If you're a small business owner, we're focused on helping you. That's our goal. As a business owner, you're working very hard. And we understand that. We appreciate the time and effort you're putting forth. And so it's our goal, since we're small business owners too, to help you to grow successfully, profitably, so that you can achieve a vision. No doubt you're interested in having more time and money for yourselves and your family due to all the hard work that you're putting into your business. So that's our mission, to help you. And so that's why we have these webinars. So this ebook is a tool. If you haven't already downloaded it, we invite you after this webinar to take advantage of it. It's going to walk you through very clearly some key fundamental first steps in helping you really grow your business forward. And so please take advantage of that ebook and benefit from its content right after our webinar today. And Leanne, would you like to introduce yourself and your firm?
Yeah, thanks, David. So, as David mentioned, I am a cloud accounting specialist, and our firm does advisory, bookkeeping, payroll, all of those fun back-end business things that small business owners don't always want to do. We are very involved with our clients and work, to provide that very forward-thinking customer service. And on the slide here, you can see we are the global firm of the future, which is a large title in our industry. So yeah, that's a little bit about who we are. David?
Thank you, Leanne. So our two firms realized that we had a similar focus. Business owners have told us that they like to have a tight-knit team providing all of the accounting, financial, business advisory, and tax services to help their small business. And so we found our two firms had complementary services that together really provided a strong solution for small business owners. So we formed a strategic partnership, and one of the results of that strategic partnership are these joint webinars. So we hope you'll enjoy today's session. And as a reminder why we are producing these webinars, because Leanne and I both feel that starting and growing a business really is a journey. If you've been a small business owner for some time, you know that it's typically not overnight that your business goes from startup to fully functioning, profitable, successful. It's a journey. And when you think of taking a little journey, you often know that to have a successful journey, you need to know clearly where you're traveling to. So you need to have that destination in mind if you want to efficiently go through your route. It's helpful too to have a map. Rather than wandering, it's good to have a clear path. And often it's helpful to have a guide, someone who has traveled that route before, that can give you some valuable and experienced tips and advice. So as a business owner, in your business journey, do you have a clear destination where you want to go with your business? Do you have a map? Do you know how you're going to get there step by step, in what order, in what sequence would work best for you where you currently are on your business journey? And then a guide. Do you have someone like our team approach guiding and supporting you in your business journey? So we hope you'll benefit from our webinar, which is an example of the type of advice and expertise we can assist you with. So today, as you know, it's how you can have your business run without you. So we're going to consider three key questions. First of all, is it really possible? Can your business really run without you? We're going to examine that. Then we're going to talk about if it really is possible, how do you get there from where you are now? So what are the key steps? Leanne and I are going to share some key steps that we have found helpful and in common with most small businesses. And third, if there are all these steps to put in place, when should you start implementing those steps? When should you start planning? So we'll cover some reasons why you want to start as early as possible, and we'll get into the reasons why. And we're also going to answer your business questions live. So as we mentioned before, please use the Q&A box to be able to share any questions you have as we enjoy our webinar together. So let's start. So can your business really run without you? Perhaps that sounds unlikely, but we're going to share with you three situations, three scenarios, three options that if you as a business owner would like to achieve them, you really need to have that happen. For example, if in the future you would like to, notice option one. Perhaps you'd like to have your business pay you a salary or a dividend while you do something else. In other words, maybe right now you're engrossed in the day-to-day operations of your business and you'd like to start stepping back. You'd like to start slowing down in the amount of time every week or every month you're spending in the business. And perhaps you want to have the lifestyle to enjoy pursuing other interests, hobbies, traveling, whatever it is that you would like to be able to do. how can you carve out time to be able to do these other things while your business continues to run profitably, successfully? So if you'd like to do that, and there are many business owners that are in that situation right now, how can you be like them? Well, you really need to have your business designed to run without you. If you're going to step back from the day-to-day operations, someone else is going to need to step in. So how can you make that happen? Or maybe you have been grooming the next generation. Maybe one of your children or grandchildren have become interested in the business, and you're starting to train them, groom them. So at some point in the future, they'll need to take over, won't they? They'll need to run the day-to-day operations themselves. So you're going to need to be able to make it possible that your business no longer requires you, that it can run without you, because you have the next generation in place. Or maybe there's no one in your family circle that you've identified to take over your business. But if you have created a valuable business, there are many other purchasers, third-party buyers that would be interested in your business. And they will be interested in knowing how that business can run without your day-to-day active involvement, if that's your wish. So how can you, again, set up your business, create what's needed, follow certain steps, so that a purchaser who takes over your business won't require you to be able to run the business? So if any of these three options sound inviting to you, you really need to have a business that can run without you for one of these three options to work. So we've shared some fundamental principles, some thoughts for business owners to think about as they look to the future. And so we invite your comments as to, have you been having these conversations with you and perhaps your immediate family? Have you been reflecting on which one of those options you've identified as best for you? Are there any questions, Sandra, that have come in that we'd like to discuss?
The first question here, David, is I guess with option number one, where you're just taking salary or dividend, would you just sell the rights of the business? Do you just sell a piece of the business? Like how would that work a little bit?
So you're referring to an owner manager wanting to start stepping back from the business?
Yes.
So first of all, it's often done gradually. It's often done in a successful way when you have a period of time and where you indicate the type of knowledge and experience that you want to pass on. So it's important, and typically we find there's about 7 or 8 phases from when a business owner is fully active into day-to-day business, and then they step back from various aspects of their business. So we have a complete sequence that we invite business owners to consider, from when they're involved in the day-to-day business actively 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, or perhaps even more than that right now, to get to the point where they really are not needed for the day-to-day decision making. There's a whole path. And if you'd like to know more information, we'll be happy to chat over Zoom about what that path might look like for your business.
Okay. And this also kind of ties in as well, but say all 3 options are very viable for you. How do you know which one is best?
Good question. At the end of the day, Leanne's team and our team work together to help you discover the answer to that question. Because at the end of the day, it's really about what you value as a business owner, what your vision is for the business, what your future lifestyle you want to have. So what we will do is we'll share the 3 scenarios. We'll take a look at your own business. We'll take a look at the numbers as your business currently exists. We'll find out how soon you'd like to step back or have the business transition. And then we'll talk about what's involved in making each one of those options possible. And we'll put numbers behind it. And then you can decide. So we empower you with information to be able to make a thoughtful decision.
Perfect. Thank you, David. That's all the questions that we have right now.
Okay. Very good. So let's look into now our second key question. Okay. And it's all about this phrase you may have heard, start with the end in mind. So what is the vision that you have for your business? You know, earlier we talked about 3 different options. And there'll be some differences in which option you select. There are also a lot of common steps. And so what is your timeline? How soon from now do you want to have one of those options realized? And so it's important for you to have that vision in place. Are you going to keep ownership of your business and just gradually step back from the decision making? Or are you going to actively groom, perhaps even in a busier way with the next generation, once you've identified who can succeed you, and get busy mentoring and training? If you're thinking of a third-party purchaser, do you know what criteria that purchaser is looking for so that you can gain the greatest amount when you sell your business? So it's good to have which of those 3 paths is specifically the one that you're picking. And then there are steps to help you realize that vision. And so let's talk about them together. So there are 8 factors to think about to maximize the value of your business and to maximize the likelihood of success from stepping back, passing the business on to the next generation, or selling it to a third-party buyer. So Leanne and I are going to share this discussion. So let's consider the first 4, and then Leanne will continue with the next 4. So when you think of maximizing the value and success of the business transition, one key factor to think about is its current financial performance. So what is your top line? What is the revenue that your business consistently generates every year? And then when you think of all of the expenses that are involved, your direct costs, your indirect costs, the costs that are fixed, what is your bottom line? What is your profit from your business? And is your accounting system, is your financial reporting system set up so that the information, the data that's there for how your business is doing financially, it's clear, it's meaningful, it can be relied on? That's important if a buyer is going to be thinking of making an offer for your business. How reliable is the data that the possible purchaser will have available to themselves? So it's important to have a good financial performance and a good financial performance reporting system that will give interested parties the information they need. Another factor to think about is the potential for growth. So if you think of someone wanting to buy your business, what are they going to be considering? Well, yes, they will be looking at your track record. They will be seeing how the business has performed over the last several years. But what they're really buying is the future of your business. So they're going to be wondering, can your business grow? Can it expand? What is its potential? With the right team in place, how large can your business grow? And the purchaser will keep that in mind when they're offering you a price for your business. It's also helpful for those that are taking over your business in a succession plan with the next generation. You know, if they're going to get involved in taking your business over and using that as their main source of income into the future, they'll also be interested in knowing what is the potential growth for the business. So that's important to be able to articulate. Is it simply geographical growth? Is it complementary service growth? Is it simply increased number of the same type of customer growth? What is the growth potential for your business? And it's good for you to be able to articulate it and to be able to convey that information to next generation, succession, or a third-party buyer. Think of the third factor here. It's independence. And what we mean by that is your business so dependent on one or a very few number of customers that they really are responsible for your business existing? Or are you able to tap into a variety of customer demands? You can clearly tell which business would be more valuable, right? Or are you overly dependent on one key employee, that key manager, that if he was to leave or she was to leave, it really causes a disruption to your business model? A third-party purchaser will be interested in knowing that. Or are you so dependent on one or two key suppliers that if their availability of goods or materials was to dry up, now your business can't function? Or can you tap into a variety of suppliers so that your business is able to continue? So is it what we call independent? Does it have the independence from customers, employees, and suppliers? The more independent it is, the more valuable your business will be to a purchaser or to the next generation. And the final factor we'll consider at this point is your cash flow. As we know, as a small business owner, it's one thing to make a profit. It's another to have the cash in the bank from that profit. So how do you approach maximizing the cash flow in your business? So do you have a process in place to minimize the amount of days customers take from when you've provided the service until they actually make payment, when you're able to collect the payment from the customer? Do you have a process in place? And do you have a process in place too to maximize the number of days your business has before it needs to pay suppliers? Do you have a system and a process in place? Those are clearly better than an accidental or random payment and collection process where your cash flow becomes so unpredictable, a third-party purchaser doesn't know exactly how they'll be able to manage the cash flow of your business. But if you have a systemized way of going about matters, if you've thoughtfully shrunk the number of days customers have to pay you, and you expand the number of days as a supplier, as a business owner, you have to pay suppliers, you can see that a third-party purchaser will see your business as even more valuable. So these are 4 factors to think about how you can set up your business to run without you. And Leanne, what are another 4 factors that small business owners should think about?
Yes, so David, so we're going to continue on with the idea of recurring revenue. So a big factor in the success of your business and the value of your business, whether being passed on to the next generation or a third party individual, is that business is going to keep making money. So is there a way for you to create a model within your business that guarantees that recurring revenue? This could mean getting your clients on a fixed recurring price if it's a service or a product that they utilize on an ongoing basis. A lot of businesses are moving to a subscription-based model, which would also implement that recurring revenue. And ultimately, you're looking for ways to bring people back through your processes to utilize your services or your products a second, third, fourth time. So that's really, really important in showing the vitality of your business ongoing. After that, we've got what ways is your business unique? How are you standing out from others who are doing the same thing? And we can appreciate a lot of businesses have different ways of looking at the same, problem and finding a new solution to it. So what is that for you and your business? What is it that makes you stand out from the crowd? This definitely can play into your branding. If your branding stands out, if who your business is, the voice of your business stands out, it's going to attract people in, which is going to create that uniqueness for your business. So it's really, really important to look at what ways your business is presenting itself in order to be seen as unique. And of course, in how you do things and the solutions and making sure that you're communicating that uniqueness out. Then we have customer satisfaction. If you're looking at long-term vitality of your business and the value it might have to, say, a third party who might want to come in and purchase it one day, they need to know that the customers you've served in the past were satisfied with the service, that they would actually come back and utilize your service a second or third time. And how are you going to demonstrate that to them? So definitely customer satisfaction, ensuring that you're achieving that, as well as tracking that, is really, really important. And then finally, definitely a big one, the dependence on you as a business owner. This is huge because most business owners start off their business doing everything. They take it all on, they grow it from the ground up, they put all of their efforts into it, and therefore at the beginning, the business is often very dependent on the business owner. But over time, it's important that your processes and your people are starting to take some of that dependence off of you as a business owner, so that you have the freedom to choose one of those three options that we have talked about whether or not you simply just want to be able to take a back seat in the business and let it run itself, whether you want to pass it on to the next generation, which means they have to know what you do and you have to be able to delegate to them, or a third party person taking it on and being able to do what you do. So that's a big one, making sure that you are able to reduce the business dependence on yourself as a business owner. So when we look at those key steps, the next thing we can do is categorize that. So here are the areas you'll notice that those key steps fall into. You want to consider the overall financial status of your company. So that would be things like the cash flow that we just talked about. You want to consider all of the elements of your customers, the ability for recurring revenue, the customer satisfaction. You want to consider the operations, the processes. This definitely comes down to the dependence the business has on you and its ability to function independently. And then finally, the people. That's a huge one, having the right people in place who know what they're doing and that you have the confidence that they know what they're doing, so that you don't have to be in the business working every day and managing that yourself. And this is where you can take these areas and create a plan in order to realize your vision with whichever of those 3 options that you're choosing for yourself. All right, so I think we're back to questions.
Okay, so the first question here is it a good idea to pay off the business debt prior to selling or after?
That's a good one. David, do you want to take that one?
Sure. That's a very good question. And it's a matter of crunching the numbers. Okay. So often it can be helpful to eliminate debt. That's going to free up the purchaser or the next generation from having that burden to carry. But it's a matter of if you paid off that debt, what would that do to your cash flow? Right? Because if you pay off the debt, but it cripples your cash flow, so you don't have enough for operations or for growth or for expansion or capital investments, maybe you need another piece of equipment or machinery. And so you really need to look at a number of factors, but that's a good question. If you pose that question, you're clearly thinking ahead on how to set up your business for success for one of those 3 options. And so we can help look at those numbers, see what would happen if you did pay it off, see what would happen if you didn't pay it off, what are the scenarios using tools that we have available to us. And then you can decide with our educated support and guidance and observations, you can select if you do wish to make that decision or not.
Okay. And the next question I have here is, what documents do I need to show a potential buyer?
Very good. So the question that I would pose in starting to answer that is, if you wanted to buy a business, what information would you want to know? And that's often a good first step. It starts to help you flush out the topics, the type of data. So if a purchaser is going to want to buy your business, they typically will want to take a look at 3 to 5 years of previous financial history. So they'll be wanting to see a balance sheet, an income statement. They will often want to see this information having been put together or reviewed by a professional accountant with the designation, so that they can have some comfort in knowing that the numbers are correct. And it's not someone who's just kind of put the numbers together to put their business in the best light, but it's one where there really is fundamental structure to the financial information. Something else a possible purchaser would be looking for is, do you have a customer list? So as Leanne was mentioning earlier, do you have a series of customers that are recurring in their revenue, so that the purchaser can kind of predict the future revenue from these repeat or recurring customers? Then a possible purchaser would be interested in knowing, do you have any long-term contracts in place? For example, with suppliers. Do you have any key employee contracts? Or if the business was to pass over, could these key people just walk? And now the new business owner is looking for trying to fill that expertise. So these are all factors. The purchaser would also be interested in knowing is, what have you as a business owner been taking out in salary or dividends? And what might the cost be if the purchaser was to bring in another individual to fill your role? What would be the market price for a person in that capacity? These are all types of discussions that the purchaser would be interested in having with you.
Okay. And the next question that we have here is, when would the due diligence of a potential buyer take place, before or after the purchase?
Well, due diligence typically means, are you sure you want to buy the business? Because due diligence means you've done a deep dive into the business's information. So I propose that you'd want to do that due diligence before the business is passed over, because afterwards, well, the sale's already complete. So you'd want to be able to know that information in advance, because that could affect the price you're willing to offer. It's like similar to buying a house. When would you want to do the home inspection? Typically before you take possession of the house. So it would be a similar concept.
Okay. And the last question that we have here is, how do you prove customer satisfaction?
Leanne, would you like to field that question?
Yeah, so I kind of discussed a little bit about this idea of making sure you have some sort of proof for, that your customers have been satisfied in the past. And one of the easiest ways is on a regular basis to pull your customers, to ask them what you're doing right and what they want and what they want to see more of. This is something we do internally ourselves, and you can do real simple surveys on a regular basis, but you do want that historical data because you want to show year after year that you're exceeding your customers' expectations and that they're satisfied and coming back over and over again. So that would be something I would work into your processes on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions we have.
Thanks.
Okay, very good. Well, Leanne and I thank you for all your questions, and keep them coming, because we have our third section now we're going to discuss. So we've talked about selecting which of those three options is best for you, what you value, what you hope to do in the future. And then we've talked a lot about the steps that are needed to be put in place to see that future or that option or that vision realized. So the logical next question is, when should you start implementing those steps and why? So let's share with you some thoughts on that. Okay. So from a tax perspective, we've often said that as a small business owner, your business is one of the most, if not the most valuable asset you have. When you compare it to other things that are in your personal name, if you've grown your business over a period of time successfully, it can often be your most valuable asset. And what's intriguing about that situation is that as a small business owner, you can typically qualify for close to $1 million at the current time, sale price for your business, without paying $1 in tax. So that's why, we often view business owners like farmers who have over time, they've planted the seeds, they've nurtured the growth of their crops, and then it becomes harvest time. So similarly with business owners who worked hard over many years, harvest time is often when they sell the business to the next generation or sell it to a third party. As a business owner, think of the tax savings, think of the money that goes directly into your pocket from a sale of a business of approximately $1 million. No tax, that goes right into funding what you'd like to do with the rest of your life. Now, there are a couple of criteria that you need to meet to be able to have that complete sale price tax-free. One of the criterias, and they're all clearly laid out in the Income Tax Act, is 2 years before the sale of your business, you need to meet certain financial criteria. And we can go over that information with you if you'd like to sit down for an initial consultation. And you can't rush that. You can't do that retroactively because CRA tracks sales and purchases of businesses. So you're going to want to have that in place 2 years before the date of your sale. And unfortunately, we know of business owners in the marketplace who have not done any of this planning, and then suddenly they've received a great proposal to purchase the business, and they lose out on the tax savings because they did not plan ahead. So we don't want you to be one of those small business owners. And so that's why we're mentioning this to you. 2 years before you sell your business, there's certain financial criteria you need to be able to meet in your business. And then there's a second criteria on the sale date. It's a higher criteria that needs to be met. CRA has these, the Income Tax Act has these criteria in place to make sure that it really is a small business that's being passed over according to the objectives of helping small business owners and the small business economy. So we can help walk through that criteria with you. And we suggest it's good for you to know in advance what that criteria is, rather than having the sad result of missing out on the tax deduction. So please connect with us and we'll be happy to share that with you. What are some other reasons why you want to start planning ahead of the sale? Well, as Leanne was talking about earlier, she talked about having the right people. And maybe you've heard the phrase, having the right people in the right seats in the bus, with the bus going in the right direction. So you need to make sure you have the right people with the right knowledge and expertise. And as Leanne mentioned earlier, perhaps right now you're the one who has all that knowledge right in here. Maybe it's not written down. It's not something that others can refer to. And so you want to have a period of time where you can pass that knowledge and expertise on. So that's why we suggest you should be planning well ahead of one of those 3 options that you selected. And then it's often helpful for suppliers and customers to start to get familiar, to be introduced to the new decision makers in whichever of those 3 options you picked for your business, so that there's a smooth transition. If you can make a smooth transition, why not? Isn't it going to increase the likelihood of the success of that transition? So that's why we suggest you should plan ahead with sufficient time. And we can help with our discussions with you, find out where you are in those 8 different factors that Leanne and I were talking about. And we can talk about what type of timeline would be needed to maximize the value of your business. And then it's helpful for employees to understand what's the new corporate structure going to be? How will those they report to change? How will their roles change? How will the processes change when you're no longer in the picture? So you want to have time to do that. And that's why, as we mentioned at the beginning of our webinar, you really want to see the end from the beginning. What is your vision? Remember that gentleman with the binoculars? He's looking into the future. He sees where he wants to get to, and then he considers the steps to get there. So Leanne's team and our team, we work together, we can help, and we can share with you some thoughts in an initial consultation. So that's why you should start planning early. And certainly, as you can see here, certainly at least 2 years before you're planning to transition the business. So our next slide is time for questions and answers. So do we have some questions on this aspect of our program?
David, the first question that we do have here is how do we know the value or the worth of the business?
Very good. So those on the program may have heard the concept of a business valuator. So in your industry, whatever business you're in, there's typically a rule of thumb of how many years revenue should be looked at. And then there's often a formula based on the revenue, the profit. Sometimes it's the assets are included as well, but there's a formula. And we can help you get in touch with that information that's specific to your industry. But generally, there's a formula based on past profits. There's a projection, a prediction as to what future profits would be. And there's often a rule of thumb based on the profits as to what would be a fair price for your business.
Okay. And the next question that I have here is, should I hire somebody to help me sell the business, such as maybe a broker or a CPA?
Yes to both. So often a CPA can help you, particularly someone who's an income tax specialist. Often there's more than one way to sell your business. Perhaps those on our webinar have heard of an asset sale or a share sale. They're different. The tax treatment's different. The outcome for the purchaser and the outcome for the seller are different. And it really depends on the numbers to be able to give a meaningful answer to a person who's thinking of selling their business as to what the after-tax result will be for them in either of those two sales. Hope that answers the question. So that's what a CPA can do. And a broker can often find customers that are looking for a business in your industry. So often a broker and a CPA will work together. When you're at the point where you've set up your business for success, you've met the criteria that CRA has, and you're looking now actively for buyers, often a business broker will be brought into the picture by your trusted business advisor, by your CPA, by your income tax specialist, and then they'll help you link up with potential buyers.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all the questions we have.
Okay, great. So let's share some next steps. So we hope you benefited from the information that Leanne and I have shared with you today. Following our webinar today, you'll receive a follow-up email. As we mentioned before, if you haven't yet done so, please download our ebook. Benefit from the fundamental key steps that can help jumpstart you growing your business successfully. We invite you to join our Facebook group. You'll see a link in the email that you receive where you can join a group of other like-minded business owners. You can also book a free discovery call so that we can find out a little bit about what your needs are and how we can respond to them. And we also invite you to sign up on our website for our next webinar. We know December often has a bit of a vacation period for some towards the end of the month. So we just moved up our webinar a week earlier than it typically would be scheduled for. So the date's December 16th. And what Leanne and I are going to be doing in December on this webinar is helping you develop an action plan for the coming year. How can you set up your business for success? What are some critical, valuable steps to take so that you can plan for the next year and set your business up to grow successfully? So Leanne and I are excited to end this calendar year of webinars with this exciting topic where we bring a lot of pieces together and we help you develop an action plan that you can get excited about, you can get your team excited about as you look to the future. So thank you for joining us. We hope that this webinar has helped you to continue to move forward in your business journey. And Leanne and I wish you every success on this journey. And Leanne's team and our team are here to help you. And Leanne, do you have some thoughts?
No, David, I just hope that everyone has found today valuable, and I'm looking forward to next month's webinar.
Very good. So from Leanne and I, we want to wish you a great rest of this day and week and look forward to talking with you soon. So bye for now.